Hi, I'm doing Paul McWhorter's Pico W lessons and I'm up to lesson number 80. Now I've done two videos before on this. The first one was using my LED class that I created for lesson number 64, and that just worked, which I was a bit surprised about. And then my second video was making it a bit easier to follow, and I didn't use a class. Now, after making these two videos, which I've posted both of them, by the way, I saw Scott's solution, and he just set up a periodic timer for the full cycle, which in my case is 1,000 milliseconds, and then within that he set up a one-shot timer which would turn it off again, which was pretty good. The only thing I didn't like about it was that it had a bit of a delay in the beginning. Then Keith looked at my solution and he kind of improved it a bit by using lambda functions and everything, but he didn't put in the capability to turn it off with Control C. And when I tried doing that, I tried playing with his program and I could not get things to turn off properly. So the only way that I managed to do it was to put in a bit of a fudge, like when I pressed Control C, it was a set carry on blinking to false, and then it checked within the callback whether I'd pressed that, which wasn't great. Now he also had a problem that it either ran out of memory or it had so many recursions that it didn't like it. Something went wrong. He's kind of fixed that, but I wrote this, I rewrote this program before he said he'd fixed it. So my program and Keith's program, when it decided that you'd use one-shot timers. So first of all, you have a very, very short one-shot timer, which kind of gets the timers going, and then it was a, if the LED is on, I want to use set up a one-shot timer with the LED on time, but if the LED is just been turned off, I want to set up a one-shot timer with off time, which worked wonderfully, apart from Peter Karlsson pointed out that periodic timers are rock steady, really, because if something's holding up your program and the callback gets called slightly late, the next time through it will say, hello, I was a bit late last time, I will what's the word, I will compensate for that this time, so it's on track. But he said that if you have a one-shot timer, if you get held up by a bit, by 1 millisecond, then if you get held up later by another millisecond or 2 milli, it gets later and later and later, and it gets more and more out of kilter. So I thought I would just see if I could mend this by taking out my one-shot timers. I do actually prefer my solution using a class, but a lot of people don't like classes. So here is my new program. Now the first bit is just setting up the pins and the on and off times, and down there it's just turning things, deinitializing the timers and turning LEDs off. So we don't have to worry about any of this. So before, what I did was I had a one-shot timer, and then in the main bit, in the red blinker in the callback, I said if the LED's on, I will set another one-shot timer for with a period of the on time. But if the LED is off, I want to set up a one-shot timer with the off time, and it worked wonderfully, apart from until Peter rained on my parade and said it would get more and more out of kilter, which is a bit upsetting. Now, the yellow and the green timers I've just left as they are. All they do is they toggle, which is what Paul did. Now, the red timer, I've turned all the LEDs on just because I prefer to have them on, you know, to have them flashing on, to blink on, off, not hang around a bit and then come on or whatever. And then it doesn't matter whether you, to the logic of the program, whether I put in those lines or not. The next lines are important. It means that when I'm setting up the initial, in fact the only one-shot timer in this program, I need to decide whether the period for it ought to be the on time or the off time, which is what that does. Then down here I'm setting up the one-shot timer with the required period and going to red blinker, which is up there. Then at the same time I'm setting up a periodic timer, which is for the full cycle. In my case it's 1000 milliseconds, and all that does is it goes to the red blinker, so that is working exactly as the yellow and green does. So all the magic happens in this yellow blinker. Now I do have two globals. It was so much easier. So I come in and I toggle it, and then because I'm in the right, it's the right moment to be able to set up a periodic timer for the whole time. So I'll show you what it does, but it means that as opposed to my second solution, when I had loads all the time, in fact Scott had lots of one-shot timers, I had lots of one-shot timers, and so did Keith, but this I think is better after Peter alerted me to the problem. So I've just got this one-shot timer to set it up so that I can start the other periodic timer at the right time. Does that make any sense? I will run it. If you don't like my flashing lights, don't look at them. So I'll run this. Right, so the red one is coming on for 0.1 of a second and going off for 0.9. The yellow one is going on for a second, off for a second, and the green one is going on for 10 seconds and off for 10 seconds. And when I press Control-C, they all go off and everything takes care of itself. So I just thought that anyone who cares about the timers getting a bit out of kilter might like my video.